Hey guys, Fox here. It's time for that end of the year video where a lot of YouTubers talk about their games of the year. So I unfortunately didn't get to play a ton of games this year, and that's mainly because I played too many very long RPGs. That's part of the problem. And I didn't get to play a whole lot of new games either because I also tried to play some retro titles. I snuck in some very good retro titles. Thanks to Alex from Return to Mother Base. We did that podcast on Vey for the Sega CD, and also worked on another title that I'm very close to finishing with him as well. I also played some other backlog games on the Switch. So unfortunately on this video, we won't see any Switch games, as everything I played was old backlog stuff or some retro titles via the Switch. So without further ado, let's get started. And I'm going to talk about a couple honorable mentions here because I'm pretty much going to just do a top 5. I just did not play enough titles this year. So first honorable mention is Yudian Chronicles 100 Heroes. So this was a Kickstarter game from the creators of the Suikoden series. So this was a lot of fun. Definitely reminded me of the Suikoden games. A lot of heroes to recruit to your party, or to your town, as I should say. And I had a lot of fun trying to make some really powerful parties to defeat the game. I'm pretty sure I platinumed this one. I had a lot of fun with it. The story was pretty good, but not fantastic. The overall looks of the game was really good, and the music was pretty good as well. Really enjoyed this one. This was just barely didn't make the top 5, so this would have been probably my number 6 or number 7 game compared to it's in competition with the other honorable mentions. So there we have it. Yudian Chronicle 100 Heroes. The other honorable mention, unfortunately, is a game that didn't come out this year. It came out last year, but I really wanted to give it a little bit of love. I wanted to talk about it a little bit in this video, but this one came out last year, and that is Star Trek Resurgence. So this was made by some of the folks that used to be part of Telltale Games and moved on to this other studio, Dynamic Labs, and created another adventure style game. And, you know, that reminds you a lot of the old Telltale games. This one involves a pretty cool story with a new Star Trek crew, and you swap between a couple different members of the crew to complete these missions and stuff like that. It's got a very good long story, very Star Trek. If you're a Star Trek fan, this is absolutely, I would say, a must play, because it really harkens into, you know, a very good Star Trek story. I mean, I know it involves quite a few of the Star Trek writers, the people who've done some of the movies and the more recent shows like Stranger New Worlds and Discovery and stuff like that. So but you have some old Star Trek faves. Leonard Nimoy there as Spock, and Jonathan Frakes as Riker there. So very cool, very awesome. If you're a Star Trek fan, this is a must play, I'd say. All right, moving on to the top 5 games of 2024 for Emperor Fox here. So number 5 is going to be a game that won Best RPG, I believe, for the Game Awards this year, and that is Metaphor ReFantazio. I recently just finished this game. It took me about 100 hours to complete. Very typical Atlas fare here for their JRPGs. But this was a lot of fun. A lot of Persona mechanics in this game. You'll feel a lot of the Persona 5 mechanics, including your like social links and stuff like that, with all the other characters, and as you evolve them, they unlock different things throughout the story. Very good artwork and art direction with the menus and the battles and everything like that. It was very gorgeous, a lot of fun. The story was pretty good. It wasn't my favorite, especially out of all the other heavy-hitting RPGs that came out this year. But the battles were fantastic. A ton of fun. I liked how you can move between the back row and the front row to either increase your damage or decrease the amount of damage you take, or to power up your physical attacks, or you want to be in the back row to make your magic attacks more hit harder. A lot of stuff like that. Very fun. It was a game I considered platinuming it, but it does require a second playthrough to get a couple of the secret bosses. So I did not want to devote that much more time. I wanted to take a break at the end of the year here and play some lighthearted games and stuff like that. So, but yeah, absolute blast. Cool soundtrack. Not my favorite, but it still had quite a few really excellent songs. But there was a lot of repeat usage of the songs in this game. So, but still very good. Number 4, I believe this was a summer release, and it was the newest in the Legend of Heroes series, and that is Trails Through Daybreak. A lot of fun I had with this one. This was a cool, different take, or just a different way to tell the story in the Trails of series. You finally didn't have a school setting. It was more of like a job setting of doing everything around. You were just kind of did odd jobs throughout the town and stuff like that as Van here. This was definitely a setup story for the other Daybreak 2, because not a lot of major things really happen in this game, not compared to like how, compare it to kind of like to Cold Steel 1, as far as not a major happening. It was more of world building, setting up a much larger story, bigger things. So I really think that Trails of Daybreak 2 is going to have a lot more impactful world happenings in their story. Still evolving that combat system, making it even better and better and better, and that's probably one of the biggest things about this title is its combat system was by far the best out of any of the games I played this year. Tons of fun. I liked how they incorporated some action moments before you can go into turn-based mode. Very kind of similar to what Metaphor did, but this one came out before Metaphor. So Metaphor more or less did something like Tales of Daybreak. Really good soundtrack, very typical Falcom style soundtrack, all which are all pretty good. You really don't get a bad soundtrack when Falcom does a game. So there you have it. Number 4 is Trails Through Daybreak. Number 3 is quite a popular one, and I can definitely see why. I really enjoyed this, and it was the Game Awards Game of the Year, and that is Astrobot. What a pleasant surprise this one was, and apparently so many other people thought the same thing. I loved the little mini game that was included with the PS5, Astro's Playroom, I believe it was called. And I pretty much did just a lot of, it was like a demo for this game, except you unlocked a lot of PlayStation history stuff with it. Had a little museum in that game. This one just had a more big story. Well, let me rephrase that. It had a story, but that was more of like repairing your ship, which was a giant PS5. So you had to go and get the various parts of the system at different worlds and stuff and get them from bosses and to get your ship back together. But the big thing was the world that you got to play in, or the many other worlds, and a lot of callback to PlayStation history and their different types of games, like God of War, or Ratchet and Clank, Horizon, Zero Dawn, stuff like that. And you got to play through a lot of those worlds, get different powers, and really good platforming. Here's the funny thing for me is that 3D platformers I'm typically pretty bad at, especially like the Mario ones. But this one I didn't have any issues. I had a blast playing through this, because when I play things like Mario 3D World or Odyssey, I have a hard time sometimes nailing some of those jumps and stuff like that. but this one I have no issues. I don't know, probably a me problem. But this was so much fun, and the love and that they put into this game to hearken to PlayStation's history and all the games and companies that made PlayStation successful was all put into this. It was a very good, very, very good game. A game for not just PlayStation fans, but a very, very good 3D platformer. All right, number 2 was, this is about like a spring release, I believe. I think it came out in March. But I was really excited for this one, and it is a strategy RPG by a very good developer, Vanillaware, and that is Unicorn Overlord. Wow, did I love this game. I love my strategy games, and the way this one is played and put together is so much fun. Love the artwork, always do for Vanillaware games, and the fact that they made a strategy RPG made me so excited. It had a pretty good story, kind of predictable. You kind of knew what was going to happen, but it was still well written and very well voice cast. And the thing that stole this game was not the soundtrack. It was not the story. The characters were kind of fun, but it's not the characters either. It was the combat, the battle engine. This game had so much customization when it came to the battles that you could really come into your own and how you developed your different units and their generals and all that stuff, and customize them, make them like combo off each other so they can do like combos when they attack. But you got to unlock so many units. I think you could have up to, was it 12 or something like that? And each of those could have up to 6 generals in them. And it was just so much fun. You know, you had a head one that would have like a special ability, so that unit would have a unique ability of something that they could do. And then you just tried to combo everybody off each other and move them around on the map to strategic placement and all that stuff. It was a strategy fan's wet dream, if you will. It was a ton of fun. I played it so much. I absolutely loved this game, and definitely went after the platinum and got it. But it was, I just can't gush enough about this game. Very, very good. Loved it. You know, and you got to, there were some romance options. There were some characters you could romance and stuff with the main character, which would behoove you to do, because you got very powerful rings from it. You know, your wedding rings. Very good, very good. Love this, and this was in very big contention for the number 1 slot. But number 1 was, that should speak volumes to what number 1 is. And my game of the year for 2024 is Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth from the Yakuza series. Wow, this came out very early in the year, I believe January. What an incredible follow-up to an already amazing game in the original Like a Dragon. The characters, the story, the fun battle system, the great music, the environments, being in Hawaii and also being in Japan, what you learn from Ichiban and Kiryu is amazing. Absolutely loved it. And even the new characters were a lot of fun that they added, the ones that you met in Hawaii. There was so much to do in the game, so many mini games that were fun, an open world to explore, to level up, to buy items, to level up your weapons, to go around and learn more about the side characters and all that stuff. It was just so much fun. And the story was equally compelling, especially all the stuff and the heartfelt moments that you have with Kiryu, between Ichiban and Kiryu, was amazing. It really tugged on the heartstrings. It hit a little close to home personally, because there were things I dealt with in my family similar to that. So I really felt this game, and I really love the characters. Ichiban is such a good main protagonist. Everybody needs a friend like Ichiban. Love this game, and I'm proud to say that this is my game of the year for 2024. Alright guys, I really appreciate you watching, listening. Go ahead and tell me what you guys think your games of the year are. And as always, thanks for watching, and more videos to come.